You are nothing but a parasite, Sarah. You're a disgrace to this family, and I want you out of my house right now. My father's voice boomed across the crowded ballroom of the country club. The clinking of champagne glasses froze. 57 guests, the richest people in our town, turned to stare directly at me. My father, Richard, stood at the head of the table, his face red with scotch and rage. Beside him, my younger brother, Julian, wore a smug smirk. "Dad, please," I whispered, my heart shattering. "We can talk about this privately." "There is nothing to talk about," Richard shouted, slamming his hand down. "This dinner is to celebrate Julian's promotion at my firm. A real achievement. And you show up here in your cheap military clothes, expecting a free meal? You haven't contributed a single dime to this family. Get out." Julian leaned forward, his voice dripping with venom. "Go on, Sarah. Go back to your barracks. Some of us actually have real careers." I looked at my mother, begging for help. She just turned her head away. "Do what your father says, Sarah. You're ruining Julian's night." 57 pairs of eyes burned into my back as I turned on my heel and walked out into the cold night. They thought I was just a low-level clerk. They had no idea I was an Army intelligence officer who had just spent a year leading a high-risk operational team overseas. But worse than their ignorance was their blindness. They called me a parasite. They didn't know that the very luxury cars they drove and the expensive party they were throwing tonight were completely funded by me. I pulled out my phone in the parking lot, my hands shaking. I needed to call my mother to ask how she could let this happen. But before I could dial, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was a text from my father. "Don't ever call me father again. I am changing the security codes to the estate tonight. Your things will be in trash bags on the driveway." A sob caught in my throat. The pain was suffocating. I had spent years sending 70% of my military salary to a joint account to pay my mother's credit cards. I had sacrificed my youth, my safety, and my sanity for them. Suddenly, a second notification popped up. A banking alert. "Your joint account access has been revoked by secondary user, Julian Vance." They were locking me out. My own brother had just frozen the account where my deployment money was stored. 3 years ago, my father's company was facing absolute bankruptcy because of a massive financial fraud Julian had committed. My mother had called me, sobbing, begging for help. "Sarah, please. Your father will ruin himself. Julian made a mistake, but we need money to save the house." I loved them. So I did something crazy. I didn't just give them a loan. I used my grandfather's inheritance and my combat bonuses to secretly buy the mortgage of our family home from the bank. I became the secret owner of the house to protect my father's pride. My mother knew, but she promised to keep it a secret from Julian and my dad. Clearly, she had broken that promise. And now they were weaponizing it against me. My phone buzzed again. It was a message from a high school friend. "Sarah, oh my God. Have you seen what Julian just posted?" I opened social media. Julian had posted a photo from the party with the caption, "Celebrating real success tonight. Hard work pays off." Sadly, some family members only show up when they want a handout. The comments were already racking up from family friends, mocking me. My sadness instantly turned into pure, boiling rage. I wasn't just a hurt daughter anymore. I was a United States soldier. I was trained to assess threats and neutralize them. They wanted a war? They just got one. I put the car in drive and sped toward the family estate. I needed to confront them, to take my documents, and to end this nightmare. As I drove down the dark highway, I noticed a black SUV trailing close behind me. I made 3 random turns. The SUV followed. Someone was tracking me. When I finally pulled up to the gates of my family's massive estate, the black SUV parked right behind me. The door opened, and a tall man in a dark suit stepped out. In the dim light, I couldn't see his face, but his posture was rigid, military. He didn't approach me. He just stood by his car, watching me intently. Who is he? Why is he following me tonight? I had no time to think about it. I had a family to face. I stormed through the front doors of the house. The party had moved from the country club back to our living room. The 57 guests were mingling, drinking my father's expensive wine. The moment my father saw me, his face twisted in fury. He marched across the room, slamming his glass down. "Are you ins?" "Ain't," Richard roared, loud enough to stop all conversation. "I told you to get out. You are trespassing. I've already called the police to have you dragged out in handcuffs." Julian walked up, laughing. "Look at her, Dad. She's desperate. Did you come back to beg for your allowance, Sarah?" My mother stood behind them, refusing to meet my eyes. I felt a moment of intense weakness. My chest tightened. I almost wanted to turn around and run away. They looked so powerful, surrounded by their wealthy friends. I was completely alone. "She doesn't need to beg for anything." A deep, commanding voice boomed from the front door. Everyone turned. Walking into the living room was the man from the black SUV. But he had taken off his coat. He was wearing a flawless military dress uniform. On his shoulders gleamed the 2 silver stars of a major general. It was Major General Thomas, the head of my entire intelligence command. The room went completely breathless. A 2-star general inside a private home was a terrifying, awe-inspiring sight. My father's jaw dropped. His arrogant demeanor instantly vanished. He staggered forward, trying to smile. "General Thomas. Sir. What an honor. We had no idea you were coming to our home." General Thomas completely ignored my father's outstretched hand. He walked right past him, stopped directly in front of me, and brought his hand up to his brow in a sharp, perfect salute. "Captain Vance," General Thomas said, his voice echoing off the high ceilings. "I apologize for the delay. The paperwork from Washington is finalized." My father blinked, looking completely lost. "Captain? Sarah is a captain." "Not just a captain, Mr. Vance." General Thomas turned his icy glare onto my father. "Your daughter is a decorated intelligence officer who just secured a multi-million-dollar defense asset. She is a national hero. But it seems you treat her like a servant." Julian stepped forward, sweating. "General, sir, there's a mistake. Sarah doesn't have any money. She's been draining our family." "Shut your mouth," General Thomas snapped. Julian physically flinched, stepping back. My attorney, Marcus, walked in right behind the general, holding a bright red folder. He opened it and looked at my father. "Richard, 3 years ago, when your company was collapsing due to Julian's fraud, an anonymous investor bought your debt and saved this house from foreclosure. Do you remember?" Marcus asked. "Yes," Richard stammered. "Vanguard Holdings. They saved us." "Vanguard Holdings is Sarah," Marcus announced loudly to the entire room. "Every single dollar that kept your business alive, every mortgage payment for this roof over your head, came from Sarah's combat pay. She didn't tell you to protect your pathetic pride." The 57 guests erupted into shocked whispers. "Oh my God, Sarah owns the house? Julian is a fraud." They threw out the person paying for their lives. My father looked at my mother. Her silence confirmed everything. Richard's face went completely pale. He looked at me, his knees literally shaking. "Sarah, sweetie." My father whispered, his voice trembling. "We didn't know. Julian told me he found the investor. Please, we are family." "Family?" I said, stepping forward. For the first time tonight, I smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. An hour ago, you called me a parasite in front of everyone. You locked me out of my accounts. You threw my clothes in the trash. I took the red folder from Marcus and tossed it at my father's feet. "This is an immediate foreclosure notice," I said, my voice cold and steady. Since you broke the contract by trying to lock me out tonight, I am pulling all my funding from your company, and I am taking possession of this house. No. Julian screamed. You can't do this. We will be ruined. It's already done, I replied. You have 24 hours to pack your bags and get out of my house. The 57 elite guests didn't say goodbye. They literally ran for the exit, desperate to escape the massive social scandal. Within minutes, the grand ballroom was empty, leaving only my broken, weeping family standing among the dirty wine glasses. Julian was staring at the floor, knowing his reputation was completely dead. My father was on his knees, staring at the foreclosure papers. I looked at them one last time, but I didn't feel anger anymore. I just felt peace. I turned around and walked out of the house, stepping into the night air beside General Thomas. I spent my whole life trying to buy the love of people who only valued money and status. But tonight, I realized something important. You can't cure a toxic family with sacrifice. True honor isn't about letting people walk all over you. It's about knowing when to stand up, draw the line, and let karma do the rest.